Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing. Good morning, and welcome to Storytime. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy Monday, wherever you are. I hope that you've been up to some fun things over the weekend and leaving you relaxed. And of course, I hope that this week is a good one too. Thank you so much for joining us here today on Storytime. We joined Ivy and Bean on their continuing adventures, and I hope that you enjoy them. And we know too, we're back getting to work with Ivy and Bean today. Annie Barrows brings us this one, of course, illustrated by Sophie BLACKALL, and we are reading it with permission of the publishers, Chronicle Books of San Francisco. I hope you're ready for it. I hope you're ready for the fun at Emerson School. Thank you so much for being here today on Storytime. And you know that this was book 12, the closing of the series. And if you've not joined in any of the adventures, well, go back to book 1. You have a lot to enjoy and a lot of adventures to be had for sure. Thank you so much for joining in here on Storytime. Please, as always, let us know where you're joining in from and who is joining in with you. And of course, let us know those recommendations. Let us know those books that you love to see and hear here on Storytime. Thank you so much indeed for joining in. And happy Monday to you. And if you're in Auckland Unified, you know we're starting week 2 of school. I hope that it is a good one too. Hopefully less drama if there was any, and of course too, just lots of fun and laughter. Thank you so much for joining us here today on Storytime. And if you're working in early childhood like myself, well, there'll be wagons to be pulling around, there'll be laughs to be had, and lots of fun. So let's go out there and enjoy the week. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. Ivy and Bean, get to work. This one from Annie Barrows and Sophie BLACKALL, 2 amazing creators bringing us another adventure. And we'll be joining in this one. We know that stuff has already happened. There's the job fair happening at Emerson School, and the students have gone around meeting all these different people in different careers, telling them about sharing their experiences. And so the students can begin to have an idea of what they might want to be. And that may change, may as well change later on. But for now, we see that treasure hunting seems to be the top one, and we'll join Ivy and Bean from then on and move on a little bit into, we're going to try and get through 3 chapters. They're pretty short, so I hope that we can get through and get to enjoy that part of the book. And of course, if you want to dive in and finish it, or please find it at your local library or wherever else that you find books. Yes, use those library resources. They are there for you. Thank you so much for joining us here today on Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. And cannot wait to get into this one. I'll be right back after this very short break.
Hi, my name is Zetta Elliott, and I am the author of 40 books for kids, including Dragons in a Bag and A Place Inside of Me. You're watching Storytime with Mr. Limata.
Yeah, today it is No sliding to the side of the screen, because they had many pictures to show in this one. But I hope that you still enjoy the story, and yeah, lots of um wonderful adventure to be had for sure. Ivy and Bean get to work. This one written by Annie Barrows, a friend of Storytime here, and of course, Sophie Blackall, another friend of Storytime. And we are bringing it in conjunction with probably Storytime's biggest friends, Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Always, always a big thank you to them indeed for allowing us to share so many of the wonderful books here on Storytime. Thank you indeed. And yeah, long may that continue. Here we go. We start off in the chapter that says intuition and a shovel. This is after all the kids have met with all the different visitors to the work job fair, and they've talked to the treasure hunter. And so it begins. Miss Aruba Tate seemed surprised that all the kids in her class wanted to be treasure hunters when they grew up. Almost all. Zuzu still wanted to be a music video dancer first and a treasure hunter second. Margali said she would be a mathematician during the week and a treasure hunter on the weekend. You're not going to find much that way, warned Bean. I am going to be a treasure hunter during the week and on the weekends, and I'm going to find a hoard. Me too, Ivy said. We can do it again, or we can do it together, Bean whispered in her ear. That way we will find twice as much as everyone else. Good idea. I'm going to find a hoard too, said Eric. I am going to be rich. I'm going to be rich too, said Emma. Did you talk to the lawyer? Asked Miss Aruba Tate. Or the author? They were boring, yelled Dusset. The treasure hunter had gold and diamonds. Yeah, we're going to be treasure hunters. Treasure hunters, treasure hunters, they said all together. The treasure hunting had started right away at lunch recess. Almost all the second graders and even some third graders went to the field of Emerson's school and stood there looking into space. They were waiting for a sense. Some fifth grade kids came out to the field with a soccer ball. What are you weirdos doing? They asked. His name, the loudest, his name was Roddy. We're getting a sense, answered Emma, about where to look for treasure. Would Roddy be interested? Roddy threw the ball in the air. You're a goon, said Roddy. There's no treasure. It's a school field, and we want to play soccer on it. Too bad, called Bean. We were here first. In the end, Rose, the yard duty, had to come and settle it. She said they could get a sense on half the field, while the fifth graders played soccer on the other half. Seems like a good compromise. The second and third graders trooped to one side of the field and tried again to get a sense. It was hard, with the fifth graders laughing at them. Emma started she said swaying helped her concentrate. Dusset hummed. Bean stood waiting for a sense. Nothing. She closed her eyes and tried to make herself get a sense. Treasure, treasure. What would she buy with her treasure? Candy, of course. But what else? Another pogo stick? A leaf blower? An emu? A dirt bike? A whole bunch of rabbits? A zip line? A swimming pool? 2 swimming pools, she said. Her life was going to be so great once she was rich. Oh, wait, this wasn't the sense. She had to concentrate. She did. Nothing happened. Bean opened one eye a little to see what Ivy was doing. Have you got one yet? She whisper shouted. Ivy shook her head. "Mm-mm, I haven't either." Suddenly, Leo started running. He had a sense. He ran to the big ugly bush that grew beside the fence. He picked up a stick and started digging, digging, digging. Then the stick broke. He found another and started digging, digging, digging again and again. Bean stopped waiting for her own sense and ran across the field to see what Leo's sense had come up with. Everyone, everyone else came streaming behind her. The fifth graders stopped playing soccer to watch. When she arrived at the bush, he had it in his hands, gleaming gold, with the words UJET printed in silver and black letters on it. Leo held it up so everyone could see. What is it? Asked Ivy. Gold, said Leo. A gold UJET is what it is. Gold, repeated Dassit respectfully. How do you know it was there? Asked Emma, also respectfully. Leo looked mysterious. I thought about where someone might drop something, and this bush seemed like the right kind of place. That doesn't sound like a sense, Bean said. That sounds like regular thinking. Leo shrugged. Whatever. I found gold. You didn't find anything, yelled Roddy from the school side of the field. Oh, there they are. He threw the ball at them, and then Emma caught the soccer ball and ran away with it. And then the fifth graders decided to charge them. And then everyone scattered like bugs. And then the bell rang. As the second graders were walking back to class, Eric said, I have a sense that I am going to find something really good in my grandma's yard. I have a sense that I am going to find some money, said Margali. I have a sense that I'm going to get rich. Bean and Ivy looked at each other and frowned. They didn't sense a thing. What was the matter with them? Oh. Oh, page stuck together. Oh, there we go. All right, so we move on into our next chapter, Lost and Found. Here we go. Of course, there's Ivy and Bean. After school, Bean and Ivy rushed to Pancake Court to get started on their treasure hunting. But once they got to Bean's house, they decided to keep up their strength and healthy food. Healthy food meant fruit. They ate some raisins. Then they ate some pickles, which were sort of healthy, or at least not unhealthy. Then they had some chocolate milk. Milk was good for you, right? They spilled a little chocolate milk powder, but fortunately, they licked it up. Even more fortunately, they licked it up just before Bean's dad walked into the kitchen. Hi, kids, he said happily. He was always excited to see them when they came home. What's the big plan for today? He asked. Ivy and Bean exchanged glances. They were glances that said, if we tell him what we're doing, he's going to make suggestions. We hate suggestions. Better change the subject. Dad, said Bean, have you ever lost money? Lost money? Dad got a grumpy look on his face. Yes. Really? The things you find out about your own parents. How much? 250 $256. Whoa, Nelly, that was a lot of money. You could buy almost two metal detectors with that. Where'd you lose it? Bean asked. She hoped it was nearby so they could dig there. Where'd I lose it? Get this, Bean's dad huffed. I spent $256 on printer ink, and then 3 days later, tops, the non printer broke. And of course, the new printer doesn't take the old ink. Total waste, complete bust. And would the ink place take the ink back? No. I wrote to the Better Business Bureau, and do you know what they said? Bean and Ivy stared at him. What on earth was he talking about? Ivy put the napkin down. Thank you for the delicious snack. Yeah, Dad, thanks, said Bean, sliding out of her chair. We're going to go out to the backyard now to get some exercise, they said. Dad was still talking. The shovels were easy peasy. There were plenty of good shovels in Bean's shed. Now they were all ready. Time to start digging. Bean's backyard was big. There were lots of places to dig. The problem was that Bean had already dug in most of them. Under the trampoline, Bean had buried a pair of tweezers and a jar of rice there just last week. Beside her plastic playhouse, there was a big worm pit there. In the middle of the lawn, Bean and Ivy already knew exactly what was buried there. Mysterious bones. They sure weren't going to dig in Bean's mom's flower beds. They were not going to mess with that. And they both knew that if they dug up the patio stones, they would be in timeout land forever. Let's go to your house, said Bean. Ivy's backyard looked like a place someone would bury treasure. It was the same size as Bean's yard, but it wasn't full of playhouses and trampolines and flowers and stones. It wasn't full of anything except tall grass. In one corner, there was a tree, a perfectly round pond, and a rock, but the rest of it was tall grass. Where should we start? Said Bean. By the rock. By the rock. Yeah. Shh, Ivy whispered. Let me get a sense first. Does Ivy get a sense? Let me get a sense first. Oh, said Bean. Okay. She watched Ivy get a sense. Here's how it looked. Ivy stood very, very still with her eyes closed and her arms outstretched. Yeah. It was boring watching Ivy get a sense, so Bean tried getting a sense herself. She closed her eyes, stood still, and put her arms out. Where are the jewels? She thought. She thought hard. Jewels, jewels, jewels. Like a big glittering red ruby. She wouldn't put it in some dumb ring. She would put it in her pocket like it was only a toy. And then she would pull it out, and everyone would gather round to look at her glittering red ruby. This, she would say, it's okay, but you should see what I have at home. They would be so jealous. Good morning to you, Kathy. How are you doing today? Thank you for joining us out there in Ohio. Cool and sunny today. Thank you. There's a dream. Wait, this was probably a sense. She was getting a sense about a ruby. Ivy, she whispered. She whispered. Shh, whispered Ivy. She was still standing with her eyes closed. I think I'm getting something. I have one already, Bean said. I got a sense there was a ruby around here. A big one. Ivy opened her eyes. Where? Where? You were, where? I'm not sure where, Bean answered. You work on that part. Ivy began to chant. Ruby, Ruby, tell us where you are. Ruby, Ruby, are you near or far? Wow, thought Bean, impressed. Ivy's a poet. Suddenly, Ivy opened her eyes. Suddenly, she pointed her finger to the tall grass in the middle of the yard. There, she cried, there. Oh, would they find the big ruby? Well, our last chapter for today, Worm Treasure. Let's see how that goes. Aren't they amazing, right? Yeah, no, brilliant, brilliant set of books for sure. Yeah. I know, yeah, my students did too. Thank you for sharing, Kathy. Worm Treasure. Ivy and Bean loved to dig. They dug and dug, dirt flying around through the air. They sang a digging song. Gold and rubies, gold and rubies, gold and rubies, gold and rubies, gold and rubies. That's how I think the song goes. And the hole got bigger and bigger. They found plenty of roots. They found some sticks. They found dirt and stones, but they did not find a ruby. Oh. Maybe the wind blew my mind in the wrong direction, Ivy said after about half an hour. She dropped her shovel and closed her eyes. Ruby, Ruby, tell us where you are. Ruby, Ruby, are you near or far? Bean waited. Bean waited. Ah, said Ivy. No wonder we need to move over a little. Right there. She pointed to a spot a little farther away from the fence. Again, they dug. Again, they found plenty of roots, some sticks, a few bugs this time, and some dirt and stones. Again, they did not find a ruby. No. I am pooped, said Bean. I need a rest. They rested in the shade of the tree near the pond and the rock. You know, said Ivy. She turned to look at the rock. If I were going to bury treasure, I would bury it next to something that stuck out, so I would remember where it was. Ivy paused. For instance, next to a rock. Would that where it would be? Is that where the treasure is? You think that's good thinking? Bean turned to look at it too. Oh, under it. In a flash, they were on their feet, rushing to the rock. The rock was big, but it wasn't huge. It was about the size of an extremely large dog or an extremely small bear. And if an extremely large dog or an extremely small bear was pushed very hard by two 7-year-old people at the same time, it would roll over, which was what the rock did too. Beneath the rock, a million worms and bugs were crawling and scattering. This is exactly where I would hide a ruby. If I had one, this is exactly where I would hide a ruby. If I had one, said Ivy. I'd bury it and put worms and bugs on the top to scare people away. Bean nodded. It was where she would hide a ruby too, if she had one. With a shovel, Ivy carefully shifted a layer of wormy and buggy dirt and set it aside. Bean did the same. Will they find treasure? Will they find treasure? Then they began to dig. This time, they didn't sing the digging song. They just dug and dug and dug some more. By the time they had to go inside for dinner, there was an enormous hole where the rock had been. They had found more bugs, more worms, and more roots, but they had found no ruby. Aw. They had found no jewels, or gold, or money. They had found no treasure at all. At dinner that night, when Bean's mom asked what she had done in school that day, Bean almost told her about treasure hunting. Just at the last minute, she decided to keep it a secret. She didn't want to tell her family that her first day of treasure hunting had been a bust. She would wait until she and Ivy found a treasure, something gold and sparkling. She would put it on the table and say, "Look what I found today." Her mom would gasp and ask her how she had done it. Then Bean would shrug and say, "I just had a sense." And that she would buy everyone presents. Ah, I just had a sense. So instead of telling her mom about treasure hunting, Bean said, "I learned you should never brush your hair over the sink." She talked about Naveen and his hairy pipes. Then her dad talked about the time he had taken the sink apart but couldn't get it back together. Then Nancy talked about how much better her life would be if she didn't have to share a bathroom with Bean. Then Bean's mom said that there were plenty of people in the world who would be happy to have any bathroom at all. And then Bean made her eyes really big and said, "I don't mind sharing with you, Nancy." And then Nancy huffed away from the table. So everything was fine. And no one guessed that Bean was a treasure hunter, almost a treasure finder. Oh. And that is the end of our chapter, and we're going to stop there today because of time. Thank you so much for joining in on these adventures, Ivy and Bean. If you want to read more, of course, the next one is How Divine. Yeah. And that is the next adventure in this wonderful, wonderful book. I hope that you can find it at your local library or indeed wherever else that you find books and get to read, get to work in book 12, Ivy and Bean, the closing book. This one written by Annie Barrows and of course illustrated by Sophie Blackall. Amazing, amazing work indeed. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I hope you enjoyed those adventures, and wish Bean and Ivy luck, and I hope they find that treasure that they're looking for. Thank you so much for joining us here today on Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. Kathy, thank you for being here with us out there in Ohio, where it is sunny and cool today, and everybody else joining in. I hope you enjoyed that one. And as always, please let us know what you'd like to see here on Storytime, and I'll do my very best to try and bring those books here to you. And of course, permissions granted from all the different publishers and creators out there. Thank you so much for joining in today. Wishing you the very best. Everybody that is joining in live right now, thank you for being here. And if you're joining us later on for the recordings, well, thank you for still choosing to be here with us on Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. Have yourselves a wonderful day. We'll be back again tomorrow with another exciting book, another school-themed book as we roll back into school. Week 2 if you're in Oakland Unified, and maybe day 4 or 5 depending on where you are. And of course, wishing everybody a wonderful school year ahead. Thank you so much for being here with us. The biggest of hugs from me. Yes, this has been Storytime for today. Storytime on this lovely Monday, coming to you live from Oakland, California. Thank you so much for being here. Please have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful day. And if you come across any books that you think we should know about, please send those titles my way, and I will do my best to look into them and hopefully be able to bring them here to Storytime. Thank you for being here. Biggest of hugs. I'll see you again tomorrow when we're back with another exciting book. Bye-bye.
Story time with Mr. Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story. with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing. Read me all of his stories, some stories from far away, others right here in my neighborhood. Story time. Ooh. Story time. Story time with Mr. Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh. Story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait